what do we really know about PS5 so far? Well, if we combine all the interviews and articles Sony's done, it turns out that the list of things we do know is pretty long, and quite frankly, I was surprised how much info we got by now. And so in this video, I'm going to summarize everything we know about PS5. Let's do this. And let's kick it off with the hardware. So AMD is once again gonna build the graphics chip and the CPU chip in PS5, and same goes for Xbox Scarlett. The processor is based on Zen 2 and manufactured on 7nm. The graphics selection consists of a specially designed Navi GPU. How powerful is this going to be? Well, that is something that we aren't 100% sure of yet. However, we think that the CPU is called Gonzalo, which is an 8-core Zen 2 processor with a base clock of 3.6, and a graphics chip called Oriel, which according to rumors seems to be Navi 10 Lite. Now what this means we don't really know by now. Now how powerful is this going to be? Well, we're gonna talk about this in a second. What we do know is that it will support hardware accelerated ray tracing, which may suggest that AMD could be using an updated RDNA architecture, perhaps RDNA 2, as first-gen Navi graphics cards are lacking hardware accelerated ray tracing. But let's move on. PS5 is also gonna be backwards compatible with PS4, but yeah, more on that in a second. In terms of storage, we gotta drift away from traditional mechanical spinning hard drive. PS5 is gonna use something called SSD or solid state drives, which is flash based and a lot faster than traditional spinning hard drives, and this should allow for very fast loading times. For example, Marvel's Spider-Man only took 8 seconds to launch during a demonstration, and compared to traditional spinning mechanical hard drives, we're going to see a shift here in what game developers can accomplish with these much faster read and write speeds that flash-based storage can accomplish. We're also getting 3D audio, and this is also specially developed by AMD. The highest resolution supported on PS5 is gonna be 8K, but the games will most likely not use that many pixels. Microsoft is pushing heavily on 4K and 60 FPS as the magic numbers, so this is most likely what Sony is going to double down on also. And speaking of games, several gaming studios already have access to the dev kits, and this is what the dev kit looks like. And for your information, yeah, it's not very likely that what the end product is going to look like, so don't worry if you think this looks rather ugly. Also, before we conclude the hardware part, CDs and discs will also be supported, as PS5 will ship with the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player. And with that said, let's talk about the controller. With PS5 we're gonna get a brand new controller with haptic feedback, which makes it possible to convey the difference between driving on a dirt road, for example, or driving on asphalt in a car game. We're also getting responsive triggers, and responsive triggers can give developers the ability to control the resistance in them, making them progressively harder to press. Think tensioning a bow, for example. The new controller will be heavier than the DualShock 4, but it will be lighter than the Xbox One controller. The speaker inside is also gonna be improved, and right now we do not have a name, but DualShock 5 might be the name for it. And with that said, let's leave the controller and focus on the games for a moment. Now, the games will be sold on optical media with 100GB storage, and this will be double up from PS4. The faster storage should allow developers to let players install parts of the game, such as multiplayer or just the single player part. Now, Marco Thrush at Bluepoint Games, who made the remake of Shadow of the Colossus, recently commented on the load times. You don't need to do gameplay hacks anymore to artificially slow players down, lock them behind doors or anything like that. Back in the Carnage days, games used to load instantly, and we're kinda going back to what consoles used to be. And Laura Mill, chief studio officer at EA, agrees. We're stepping into a generation of immediacy. In mobile games, we're expected a game to download in moments and be just a few taps from jumping right in. Now we're able to tackle that in a big way. Now, in case you haven't been in the loop, what about release date? Microsoft and Sony has confirmed that both PS5 and Xbox Scarlett is coming out in holiday 2020 around Christmas. But yeah, let's go back to backwards compatibility again, and whether PS5 will support all the games and whatnot. And this is something that Sony is still very quiet around. However, in recent interviews, Sony has given the impression they're still working on things. Now, in case you're interested why getting all the games to play on PS5 seems so complicated, I actually made a video covering some details as to why this is currently a problem. Something we also need to mention is this Twitter profile called PC Erebus, which was right about the Last of Us 2 date. This guy hints that Sony is working on some sort of backwards compatibility with older consoles. And thinking about this for a moment, Microsoft did it with the Xbox One, where you can now play a bunch of 360 and original Xbox titles. It isn't too unlikely that Sony will follow. The tweet is cryptic, but yeah, it gives us hope at least. With all that being said, there's still a few things that we don't know that I would be really happy if Sony could answer for us. In terms of hardware, is this going to be the generation where we're gonna be able to run games in true 4K and 60 FPS? Yeah, that is a good question. I would love to have an answer to this. Also, what about ray tracing? Are we gonna be able to run games in 4K and 60 FPS with ray tracing? That seems a bit far-fetched, but yeah, who knows, right? Now, speaking of looks and whatnot, right at this moment we still don't know what PS5 is going to look like. It has circulated a concept image online based on a patent that Sony filed back in Brazil, but yeah, I do find it hard to believe that this is what PS5 is going to look like. I would love to hear your thoughts, guys. In terms of pricing, Sony doesn't want to talk about it, but judging from the new technology, asking for $99 wouldn't shock me, but I'd love to hear what you think. As with the controller, the pressure sensitive plate on the DualShock 4 was used extensively in many of the launch games, but nowadays this is only used as an extra button. And the question is, will it maybe be scrapped this time? Do we also need a dedicated sharing button? I don't know. Are you using yours? Please let me know in the comments. Now, many people think that the shape of the DualShock 4 is significantly better than the old 6-axis DualShock 3, but what about this new controller? What does it look like? And is it going to be better than DualShock 4? Yeah, that's a good question. There's also games, right? We know that Last of Us 2 is going to release in spring of 2020, and so it seems unlikely that Naughty Dog will have a launch title ready for PS5, and no more games have been confirmed right now, and so it's going to be mighty exciting to see what games make it to launch day. Now I'm asking you guys, what are you asking for? What do you want to see, and what should Sony avoid, or what should they scrap with upcoming PS5? I am hyped and I'm ready for this, and I'm going to keep you guys covered up to launch date. With that said, I want to thank you so much for sticking around this long. Watch either of these two videos for more content. Until next time, you guys have an awesome day, right?